But I got just a couple minutes before 12:15 when it officially starts, but I want to start off by just playing a couple videos as some people are trying to dial in here. I'm Dr. Robert Rabb, the head of mechanical engineering here at the Citadel, and welcome here today. Let me start off with a little bit of a video. All right, that's just a few of the little things that we do here on campus. That, of course, was our Baja. We didn't get to compete with it this year. Competition depends on which region you go to, but we would have been going to one about a month ago, I guess, right about finals. So that competition, further out west you go, they extend out all the way into the month of June. But our students built that Baja. That was their senior design project. But students will come here, and by the time they're seniors, will have a pretty good hands-on experience. We'll turn around and select a senior design project. So we had a lot of, that was a mixed team between veteran and evening students and a lot of our cadets. So that was a lot of fun. It was probably the best vehicle we had. In the future, that Baja vehicle is supposed to be four-wheel drive, but right now it's still two wheels. And we'll use that vehicle for next year. So by the time you're seniors, of course, it'll be a full four-wheel drive vehicle, a lot more maneuverability on it, and a little bit more complex vehicle. But that's our Baja, but I've got a few other projects here I'd like to show you. But I'd like to start off, since we're officially after 12:15, to see what kind of questions you may have. So you can either put it on the chat right there for everybody to see, where you can try to come on in and ask a question. Yeah, Lucas, go ahead. Any questions? You should turn your videos on if you can, so I can see you. Mark, you have a question?
Let's see.
All right. I'm going to share my screen and play another video for you. This is another cadet project. The team's got to pick their own names of their team. So this team, of course, picked something called Dirt Boats as their name. So it's kind of a marketing thing, as if they're setting up their own little business. But everybody should be able to see the Dirt Boats land yachts. So this is a popular project. It was students selected this one. It was very popular, like I said. So we had two teams for this, one for the Baja, but two teams built what we call these little land yachts, made to go out there on the beach. But of course, they finished this thing up while they were back on quarantine back at home. So this student's out there in the Greenville area. But he's just using a cell to push this thing along. I think they told me on this day they had about a 17-mile-an-hour wind. But fully maneuverable, they can turn 180 degrees on it as long as they have a breeze. They worked out all the dynamics on this thing. They can actually go faster than the wind is blowing, just like a sailboat. Okay, I see we had a couple of chats come up here, so some folks have some questions. So first one is, what kind of courses will you be taking your knob year? So they changed the general education requirement here last year. So you start off with a freshman seminar and you get your chance to pick that. There's a corresponding writing course with it. So I'm gonna tell you that's probably very important that you pick that out. A lot of students last year decided, hey, I won't do it. So the registrar started putting people in to balance things out. And some people got put in courses they didn't want. So there's several of them that are offered over by the faculty in engineering. So I teach military technology in society. That's one of them. We have another faculty member teaches a video game culture class. Somebody in civil teaches sustainability, environmental hazards, and somebody in electrical teaches a artificial intelligence class. So there's plenty of them out there. So I'll tell you, that's the first thing that you probably need to do. In the mechanical engineering curriculum, you'll take an intro to mechanical engineering class. Your advisor will be your instructor for that course. So you're going to have a lot of face time with your advisor, a lot of one-on-one contact. So that's a good thing. It's not like other places that you go and you don't know who your advisor is, or it's somebody who's managing, 600 of you. So we know you very well, and you'll know us. Second semester, you'll take a programming course. It'll really be with MATLAB. That'll be a lot of fun. That's where you're going to start applying some of that math toward engineering solutions. Other than that, you're going to have your standard math courses, your chemistry and biology, and you'll also move into a physics course in the spring semester. You'll have your run of ROTC courses as well when you come here. Let me see what else. That's really about it. So about 16 hours if you're on track with everything. Let's see. Let me see what else. And in Mech 101, we try to get you into the engineering mindset. What's the engineering profession all about? So it's not, and we'll kind of orient you to all of our little functional areas that we have, our interest areas. All right, let me see. So what kind of specs do you need for your school laptop? On our webpage for the undergraduate curriculum, I have a webpage, a PDF in there that kind of outlines it. So based off what we found out here in the spring, we want to make sure that you have a webcam. All right, so a lot of testing will want you to do a webcam proctoring of your exam. So make sure that you've got a webcam. If you go and take a look at the SolidWorks and the MATLAB sites right there, if you want something a little bit more horsepower, then I would get that. You don't need a gaming laptop with a whole bunch of RAM and processing speed. But if that's will make you feel more comfortable, then those computers will certainly run some of the software that we have if we ever have to go back and do remote teaching again. All right, so somebody has taken BC Calculus, and how will that carry over? So BC Calculus, I think, will put you into Calculus 2 here, or maybe 3. One way or the other, it gets easier after Calculus 2. So Calculus 1, you've passed that if you've passed BC Calculus. And I would take advantage of it. If you're current in your math, if you have a pre-calc or a calculus course that you've taken your senior year, you're in good shape. All right, that means it's current. So every now and then we'll get some student who took their last math class their sophomore year because their state only required up to algebra or something, and they took that and kind of took the easy classes, and they still want to be an engineer. We can get you there, but it's just a lot harder work, just because, as I tell my kids, my own personal kids, that math's a perishable skill. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. So you'll forget a lot of things. So if you can keep current in your math, and the math department here will have some online review courses over the summer, I would tell you to take advantage of that, just so that the last time you've seen some math isn't, maybe in the fall semester 6 months ago. Let me see. So what major projects do you get involved in as knobs? From the engineering standpoint, you'll have some small teams in some of your classes. We'll put you to work together. We'll try to mix it up a little bit so you get to know your classmates. There won't be anything enduring. These senior design projects are year-long projects. And at that point, you know your classmates pretty well. You know which ones are strong maybe in programming, which ones are stronger on the hands-on skills. So at first it's small projects just to kind of get you familiar with our teaching methods and have a little bit of fun, and also to learn your classmates. Vocational skills. This is kind of a funny question, because every now and then I'll get someone who says, hey, do we learn how to weld? Well, you can. It's not a requirement. We do have a whole fabrication shop set up back here, and it's yours. I mean, I've got the camera monitors on it. There's 3 cameras out there. I can sit here on my computer, monitor students out there, call up the phone out there and just say, hey, Charles Sackett, why don't you have your goggles on, your safety goggles? I'm picking on him just because he doesn't have his microphone muted. Don't worry, Alexander Ott, I got you next. You're sitting there laughing at him. All right, so no, I can do that type of stuff and monitor the shop out there. So as long as you've gone through the safety stuff, you can go out there into the shop and use it. You've got to get access to it. So, I mean, it's not open 24/7. But I try to keep one side as woodworking, the other side is metalworking. But our students, of course, if it's beyond their welding skills, then we've got a few contacts in town, and perhaps you know a few friends back at home too. Of course, this land yacht, they took it back home to finish it off. The Baja stayed here. So guys came in, even though campus is closed, it wasn't all closed meant was we didn't have classes here. But those guys were in the shop working in the evenings on their own. So we gave them access to it, no problem at all. So vocational skills, you'll learn some welding, you'll learn, definitely soldering by the time you're done here. That's always a good skill to know. Some basic assembly, you'll learn computer-aided design. So we've got to design things for manufacturing. You just can't make something. It's got to be easy to make in order for it to be marketable, rapidly produced, all that type of stuff. So you'll learn to what we call design for manufacturing. And fabricating composites, I'm glad you asked about that because we have a composites expert here, Dr. Bubach. I don't know if she's online or not here. She has class tonight. But behind my office, she has a huge lab, and it's got a 2 foot by 4 foot autoclave. And I say that sounds small, but it's a big pressure chamber, so she can do composites in there. Our lab tech just went down there and reran the vacuum lines. But yes, you cannot make your father golf clubs or something, although technically you can, but we're not going to allow you to do that here. But we do do some composites. So the goal is that every student has had a hands-on experience with composites while you're here. I'm not familiar with a Windows emulator VirtualBox. I have Macs at home, so I've used Parallel and Fusion and stuff like that. I know that there's a little bit of a delay, but that stuff's getting better all the time. So you can run things through an emulator. It's just if you're trying to do something very precise and you have a delay on it, that's my big thing. Is if I'm trying to do a SolidWorks and I'm trying to drag a box, make it bigger or something like that, I'm not quite sure how fast I can drag it until I can see the response to it. And the CAD software. We use SolidWorks. I'm in the process of updating our SolidWorks for another 5 years. I've already sent the order off to our procurement department there, but that is something that's very well used and known out in industry. We don't have a CATIA license like say Boeing uses. That's about $5,000 a seat, maybe more now. But for SolidWorks, if you like it, you want it on your own computer, you can. There's a student version, you can download it. We have a 100-seat license here on campus, and there's probably about 150 computers here on campus that can run it. So everything up here in the engineering buildings can run it. A few things over at the library. So if you draw something, you want to go over there and convert it into for 3D printing, you can do that. But all of our industry contacts out there, we say, hey, we've got somebody who's interested in internship and they want to do CAD, and they're like, oh yeah, SolidWorks is fine. And once you learn one of them, even if they're doing something with, I don't know, with AutoCAD or something like that, that skill is easily transferable. All right. Let me see what else we have. Do you have time for club sports or things like that? You bet you do. But you know, your time is very valuable here. I'm sitting here watching some of you, and I know that you've got a parent nearby here. I can see their shoulder now and then, but that's okay. You know, when you get here, time management is going to be a big important thing, and you got to understand that everybody will tell you academics is your #1 priority. All right, and you got to understand that, because if you're not proficient academically, then you start losing those times that you can participate in those club sports and those things that are fun. Look, I've got a high school junior, I've got a college sophomore, and right here in my office, I got a 9-year-old third grader. All right, so I've got to bring him into work here just because the teenagers will hurt him, I guess, at home here, because they're still in class and he's not. But my point here is that there's time for that, but you've got to turn around and make time for your academics. All right, so what kind of club sports? We've got football players. We got people that are NCAA athletes that are here, but do we also have people that are playing rugby? Other sports here on campus? Sure, hockey. We've got people that play hockey that are in Air Force ROTC that still do well academically. But you've got to make a committed effort there that academics is #1. And then when you get over in the barracks land, a lot of folks will sit there and try to make you think differently, that all you got to do is just graduate from here and take a path of least resistance. But I will tell you right now, something couldn't be further from the truth, what I just said, all right? Because I get offers just about weekly here, even during the summer. Hey, you got anybody who's still looking for an internship? You got anybody who just graduated, doesn't have a job yet? So I sent out 2 of those yesterday. All right. So, but you know, if somebody's just looking at a piece of paper right there, what they see on there is a GPA, the classes you took. And I just did a survey here, taking a look at our seniors. Let me tell you about one of our guys that just graduated. Who knows what Blue Origin is? Anybody? Yeah, Charles Geiger down there is nodding his head. Blake, he just gave me a thumbs up right there. Tell me what Blue Origin is, one of you.
They're starting to commercialize space travel, and they're trying to.
So it's Jeff Bezos' company, right? Yeah. So we just had a guy graduated. Guess where he's working?
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin, $100,000 a year. He just graduated. All right. And I'm sitting here, I'm getting ready for our advisory board for tomorrow. So I'm kind of going through all the graduates and stuff. We put, well, I don't know. We had 7 distinguished military graduates. Those are the people that are graduating at the top. We had 31 people that went into the military. When I take a look at our honors program, we had 5 out of 19 people graduate in the honors program here at the college. So that was what, 1/4 of the people. And we've got we have 30 of our mechanical engineers graduated either cum laude, magna cum laude, or summa cum laude. All right, out of about 80 people. All right, so we produce a pretty good group of students here that are very, very well sought out there by the military and by industry. One of our guys that just graduated from the Navy got accepted to graduate school, so he's going to go off to the Naval Postgraduate School first, get his master's degree before he goes and becomes a pilot. All right, so there's a very select group right there, but those are the type of students that we have here. A number of students that are, you know, in the honor societies and stuff as well. So I was putting together a bunch of numbers for our MEC advisory board just right before I got on this line. But, you know, as I take a look at the numbers there, the earning potential for you as mechanical engineers, both in the military and those of you that will go to civilian, it's huge. All right. We always said that every single one of our graduates is employed within 60 days. When I first got here, it was 90 days, but now we say 60 days. They don't like us saying that thing in writing just in case there's somebody who doesn't want to do it. But, you know, every now and then we'll get somebody who turns around and wants to kick out for, you know, 6 months and go and do something. And if you come from a family with that type of financial resources, that's great that you can sit around for 6 months. I had a guy that just graduated in last year. So he went down to Central America for 6 months and played around on a banana plantation. He's back now, but that's, you know, he wasn't working as an engineer, but he is now. But I mean, I don't find too many of those students. Most of the ones that graduate, your mom wants you off the couch, quit playing video games, and go out there and do the things that they set you up for, all right, that we set you up for. All right. So yes, there's time for some fun here, some relaxation, but you got to give the academics your due. So all of you completed high school. I'm taking it online, right? Just about, okay. All right, so so you've got the discipline already. If you can make it through that thing, I'm sitting here watching my own kids. I'm watching the students that just graduated from here. If you can have that self-discipline to stay on task, you'll be fine here. What does homework consist of? So in engineering, we like to have frequent homework. We don't believe in the thing of like having a major assignment that takes us forever to grade and cause a lot of stress for you. So we like to have a little touch points. All right. So we teach a lesson. We may have a quick assignment for you just to kind of reinforce that. I like to give homework about once a week. That way I kind of build up some stuff. I give you a weekend to work on it. And then, if you got questions, of course, you can contact us. But I'd rather have more frequent contacts and kind of build you up to that. And what my students always tell me was there was nothing on that test that was a surprise. Yes, I may not have done well, but that was on me because I didn't prepare for it. But everything that you asked on that test, I've seen somewhere before. All right, so that I think that's probably what you'll hear from a lot of our students about a lot of our faculty here in engineering. I teach everything from freshman classes. I teach the freshman seminar. I teach, I haven't taught the intro to mechanical engineering in a number of years. I taught the programming class in the spring a year ago. But I usually stick with juniors and seniors, just some of the upper level class. So I really teach mechatronics, all the robotic hands and things like that we do. That's more of mine. So what kind of military jobs do our graduates get? What would you like? All right, so we get a lot of them that go into pilot. We get some of them. I've got a couple that just told me that the Air Force is putting me in on facilities engineering, which is huge. That's a very transferable skill out there in the real world if you can sit there and manage big complexes. I'm a retired military officer myself. I was in the Army for 25 years, degree mechanical engineer. I was a combat engineer, so I stayed muddy boots blowing up a lot of stuff. But when I finally got senior enough and I said, let me go work in the Corps of Engineers, a lot of the mechanical stuff, the HVAC, the insulation, things like that, that had to go with the construction trades. And I just got done teaching a construction engineering class. So in the Army, aviation, a lot of the weapon systems are now very complex and mechanized. So you're not going to get hurt by going into the Army with a mechanical engineering degree. Navy, I would tell you that they want our students a whole lot. We got a very good relationship with the Navy ROTC here. They'll put them out on the nuclear fleet. They'll send them out to pilot school. They'll sit there and put them on surface warfare ships as well. And then Air Force, like I said, I've got everything from drone pilots to regular pilots and facilities engineers. Some people go into research and development. Somebody wants to know what's the hardest project to assign for knobs. It's really not anything that we give in Mech 101 or 102. What's the hardest thing is I would say, is to stay the course. You're going to get here and you're going to look across at your roommate sometime who's got maybe an easier degree, and you're going to sit there and say, I want that lifestyle. All right. And the problem is that he's probably going to be working for you later on. All right. So stay the course. It's making it through your freshman year. You'll have a lot of people that will sit there and tell you negative things, but it took you 18 years to decide you want to be a mechanical engineer. And I don't understand why in 18 days you all of a sudden want to take a whole reversal and pick a degree that's only going to earn you about $30,000 a year. All right, so all of our mechanical engineers start off with a minimum of about 65. All right, what about the Marines? This year, as I went through the list, I didn't see any of our people who went into the Marine Corps. All of them that were in the Navy service went right into the Navy. But in the past, we've had Marines go into, I do have a reservist. He did go in the Marines, but he wasn't on the list of graduates here, so because he still owes us a little bit here during the summer. But in the Marine Corps, I've had people go aviation. I've had people who do the infantry thing as well. And what else? I had a guy a few years ago, one of our first classes of cadets. He wound up not doing so well in his officer selection board right there. So he wound up being a finance officer. All right. So I know that doesn't sound very glamorous, but I'm just telling you straight up, where I'm tracking these students. So if you want to focus on aeronautical science, what would we begin with study? Start off as a straight mechanical. Our aerothermal lead will sit there and tell you, be a mechanical engineer, all right? And then if you decide you want aero, go do that in graduate school. But if you turn around and say, I want aero and I'm not gonna go to the Citadel because you guys don't have aero, you're locking yourself into an industry that's very volatile, especially right now. Boeing will be the first ones to tell you, they're right here 10 miles away. They will be the first ones to say, we hire mechanical engineers, civil engineers, industrial engineers, electrical engineers, project managers, and oh yeah, a few aeros. We do have an aero focus area here. So you get to explore a couple classes in aero and in aeronautics, a couple classes in mechatronics, a couple classes in power and energy, some in manufacturing, so you can make a good decision. But I like this model really because you graduate, you go knock on Boeing's door and say, hey, here I am, your ultimate engineer. And they may say, great, but we're not hiring. That's okay. Go 5 miles up the road to Mercedes or Volvo, and they're like, hey, we've been looking for a manufacturing engineer. But if they're not hiring, you go further up the road to one of the energy companies. And, you know, so you've been exposed to all these focus areas, these different areas to make yourself very marketable. The aero piece, it is kind of amazing. I just got an email from a Marine just yesterday. It was follow on for us. But he said, hey, if you remember, I was going to go to I'm going to share this thing because this is actually very good. So I don't know if you can read this, but he says on this thing, as you may recall, I hope to commission in the Marine Corps with an aviation contract. The good news is that it's all worked out. I'm currently at the Naval Air Station Pensacola in the aviation pipeline. Bad news is that the Navy isn't particularly great at teaching the nitty-gritty of flight. A lot of material is dumbed down because most students don't have a collegiate background in engineering. Unfortunately, this results in a lack of emphasis on the equations that can make understanding the conceptual much easier. So he gives some examples, some stuff that we teach here, Bernoulli's equation, Navier-Stokes. He's not looking for a full rehash of thermal fluids, all right, which I think is a strong area that we have in aero that we also teach. But he says, I'm finding that my undergraduate studies have placed me at a distinct advantage over a number of my peers, even those that studied mechanical engineering and aero engineering. I absolutely attribute this to your approach to teaching thermodynamics and fluid mechanics. The aero electives I took senior year, although minimal in the grand scope of field, were invaluable in exposing me to the fundamentals of flight and beyond. All right. So this is our students like writing back to us years later. So this guy graduated 2 years ago. It took him a little bit of time to get through the OCS there in the Marine Corps, but it's all worked out. But he's sitting there telling us that what we're teaching him here is very valuable, even in the military. All right, list of items required to bring to the Citadel here. We get asked this every now and then. So admissions is going to tell you things that you need. If you're, lots of times it'll be stuff like bring some broken in boots and stuff like that, especially if you're under military contract. But you know, what we tell you is make sure that you've got all your school supplies. I don't know what happens in the barracks over there, as far as, you know, what kind of bed sheets you bring or anything like that. Who was I going to pick on earlier? Alex Odd. I was going to pick on you, right? So yeah, don't bring your Star Wars bed sheets or something. But I think almost anything else will go. But you know, as far as the academics piece of it right here, I would tell you to bring your basic school supplies, a laptop that's going to get you through. Unfortunately, you know, you want that laptop to last you for 4 years. So you need to think about buying tomorrow's technology, but I know it's at today's prices if you worn out your high school laptop. But if all you got is your high school laptop, that's going to get you through the first year. All right. And then you can kind of figure out some things from there. but you don't need a whole lot of on the academic side. A lot of stuff is available here at the bookstore. Team projects and hands-on learning. So your first year in our intro to mechanical engineering class, we do have some hands-on stuff. We have the water bottle rocket challenge. We've got a gear challenge. We've got a bunch of things just to kind of get you up out of your seats and doing some fun stuff. If you're in my freshman seminar class, once a month I walk you out there. We do a little field trip. We take a look at some of the items that are out here on the parade deck, some of the weapon systems. Just some of the things that we've been talking about in class. So we will be getting you out in the spring semester when you take the programming class. You'll still work together on 2 mini projects, but those will be more, calculation based. Other classes, of course, you'll have some lab work to do. I mean, if your physics, your science classes, team projects. Yeah, we'll put together as much as we can. And a MacBook or a Microsoft computer, I would recommend a Windows computer. About 95% of academia is set up for Windows-based systems. People who use the MacBooks are doing a lot of word processing and things like that. So if I go to the English department, some of them have it. But when it gets time to run some statistical software, even over here in civil, next door, they do have a lot of Macs over there, but there are limitations on that. I have an adjunct, she teaches for us, but she keeps sending me her grade book on what's a Mac have called Numbers on it, their spreadsheets. So I always have to ask her to translate it for me to convert it. If you're a dedicated Mac user, you just got to be able to run the Windows software. So you got to get that the boot camp or the Fusion or the Parallels to run stuff. Later on, though, I mean, you don't need it immediately. If you've got a MacBook, and look, I've got 8 laptops at the house between my kids and wife and me, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 Macs there. So half of them are Macs at the house. Asking some good questions. Keep them going. What's the typical class size? Okay, so the administration here likes us to have classes that are larger than 10. All right. When we first started the program, we were small. I've had classes as small as 3. I've been in a couple classes that I've taught with about 26 or 27 students in there. So it's not huge. I try to cap the classes around 24 students. All right. So, but every now and then we'll turn around and have, I don't know, like 55 people that need to take a class. So we really can't open it up to 3 sections of that. So it'll be, maybe a 28 and a 27 in those classes. But we try to keep it small. You'll know us. I know everybody's first name on the first day of class. All right. I mean, that's how small it is. It's not that because you're sitting, we've got small classrooms. It's designed that way so that we can see you see us. It's more individualized instructions. So senior projects, you can come up with some of your own devices, but here's my caution on that thing. ABET, our accreditation body, requires us to have either an aero or either a thermal fluid system or a mechanical system. All right, so it just can't be a process. I had a student whose parents own a bottling company, a condiment company. So he wanted to work on a bottling machine apparatus for his folks. And that was fine, but our design projects are usually 5 students or larger. But he couldn't find 5 students that wanted to work with him. I don't think it was him. I just think they weren't excited about the project. All right, but yes, you can come up with something on your own. So that's senior projects. Studying abroad. So every now and then we'll have a few students that want to do the study abroad. So I think this fall it's been shut down just because of what's going on. But what's it look like? You should be on track. We're going to request that you have over a 3.0 GPA. The higher, the better. And usually when you go study abroad, there's going to be a limited number of classes that will transfer back in. And so at the best, you've got to take 4 classes. So it's good to look ahead at this type of stuff, find out what classes you're going to need to either make up when you come back or take ahead of time. So we will offer some of them over the summer. But I've got students right now that didn't listen to that advice, and they just now are starting their senior year, just now have just caught up. All right. So the ones that turn around and took the courses before they left, and when they came back, took an extra course just to get back on track, you know, they're doing fine. But the ones that wanted to, you know, just take it as it comes, you know, you got to make up that time somewhere. And engineering is very sequential. You just can't pick and choose your courses. So one course builds on another. So without the foundational course, you can't move on. So we got to put the stop on some folks every now and then. And look, it's unfortunate when that happens. Those students wind up, you know, getting into a crunch and have to take a lot of classes over the summer if they want to graduate on time. So that's more time and more money. But we have had a number of students in the mechanical engineering major go and do that type of stuff. So we have another program here. If you want to go travel, Boeing used to give us money for this type of stuff, but now they've stopped it, but our dean has found other resources. But we have an engineering study abroad just during the month of May, so right after graduation for about 3.5 weeks. He's taken students to Italy, another faculty member's taken to Italy. The past 2 years, a MEC faculty member has taken students to Germany. And then this past year, we had lined up something for Sweden. So one of our faculty members, she's the honors director. She teaches for us as well. But she had been an exchange student over in Sweden back when she was in school. So I had a lot of contacts there, but that trip got canceled with what's going on. Let me see. So we do have a couple of those opportunities. For your computer, i5 processor will be fast enough. i7 is not necessary. I think I'm still running some stuff on i5s. And in fact, my desktop is an i5 and it's due for a replacement, but the one that they ordered as replacement is still an i5. So I'm not going to speculate on coronavirus and quarantine and things like that. I'm on meetings every week. I had one this morning on developing the fall teaching plan. Right now, we are planning to have everyone come back to campus in August, just like what you've seen in the media. And if we have to transition to online, then we'll do that. But part of the reason you're coming to the Citadel is for the Citadel experience, the lifestyle that we have here, these great opportunities. It's not to, you know, take a lot of classes online. So we're prepared to do all of that, to go fully online, to fully face-to-face for the entire semester. So I've got faculty here that are still working, I'm working, and all that type of stuff. So we're going to get you through the academics. But if we do have another crisis, just like a hurricane, if we have to evac, we'll do that type of stuff. And somebody up higher, smarter than a lot of us, will make that decision of whether we quarantine in place or we send you back at home. Do we, you know, they're setting up they're talking about what we do in the classroom to minimize any exposure and contact as well. And when do you find out your schedule? So when are AP grades due? My daughter's still taking classes right now. So what I know is that AP credits are due to the registrar by June 30th or July 1st. At that point, they spend about a month going through and making everybody's schedule. All right. So when that happens, they plug in, and then when you show up here, assuming all things are normal, you'll show up here on a Saturday, and then Tuesday night, you'll see me again in the big auditorium downstairs. I'll give you an academic briefing. At that time, your upperclassmen have probably already given you a schedule. It's already been passed out to you. Then on Wednesday, you'll walk in to that auditorium again. Your advisor will pull you out one by one and go over your schedule with you. And for some of you may say, well, yeah, I'm in Navy ROTC, but I really wanted Army ROTCs. No problem. We can get that switched for you. All right, so there'll be a few nuances like that that you can change, but it'll kind of be walking you through, make sure there's no change, that you're comfortable with your schedule. A few of you will come in with a lot of transfer credits, a lot of AP classes. I'll get calls about you over the summer here when that happens, so I'll know you very well. I scare your moms when they drop you off because, oh, hey, Alex Ott, yeah, he was on my radar. He validated, 20 classes right here, and we had to find something for him to take. All right. So you'll be on my radar for things like that. Not for a bad thing, but your mom will think they just dropped you off like 2 hours ago and you're already in trouble. But no, that won't be the case. When we used to have CSI here, does everybody know what CSI is? The Citadel Success Institute, where you come here for kind of a 3-4 week orientation. Sometimes students would look me up while they were here, and I would bring them to my office, talk to them, and say, hey, this is what your schedule looks like if it was built by them. So I kind of know about the middle of July. Engineering is one of those things that they try to jump on first, so they'll put you in classes, they'll build your schedule first, and then they'll kind of fill in everybody else after that. Is there a curfew for students in their dorm? Yes, so there's a mandatory, you're in your room studying like at 7:50 at night, that's study time, evening study period, but you don't have to stay there. And I'm gonna tell you, it's probably a bad place to stay, all right? Because there's noise over in the barracks, and you may have a roommate that's doesn't, understand how to be quiet or anything like that. So you're allowed to go to the academic buildings. So over here, it's a different world. Every upperclassman is not going to treat you like you're a knob. If you're in an academic building, the rule is that, and you need help, they're going to turn around and help you. All right. So there's plenty of empty classrooms, study rooms, places like that. We have an evening program. I advise all of our evening students, so you'll see me around here late at night too. All right. So if you got problems, rooms locked, and you want to go study in there, find a faculty member, we can usually let you in. You can go to the library, but the library is kind of a social hangout. They got a little snack bar over there. They've got other study groups, things like that. So we're not too far from the barracks. So we tell our students to come on over here and study. And plus, we have these tutors there. So if any moms and dads are listening to all this stuff, you never need to pay for a tutor. Okay, we have free tutors. We pay students to sit there in the students' classes to hear the same thing the teachers heard. Plus, they get a little bit more inside information. So we put them up in these rooms at night here, and all those students can come in there and ask them, "Hey, I didn't quite get this in calculus today. What's this sign mean, and what are we supposed to do with it?" All right, so we can. And those students are paying. Lots of times they're underutilized. They sit up in the room. We pay them $10 an hour, and they're sitting there doing their own homework just because a lot of students won't come and seek help from them. And look, I was in the military for 25 years. I went to a military school too. And I'm going to tell you that it is not the sign of a leader. And I get this. My son's at a military school, but a lot of folks your age will sit there and say, "Hey, I'm going to go there for this great experience, and it's a sign of weakness if I have to ask for help. Wrong, wrong, wrong. It's a sign of weakness when you fail and you don't make it through the program, because we put every single piece of material out here to help you along. All the tutoring, all the access to faculty. It's unbelievable. So take advantage of it. But you'll notice out there in the military, if any of you are Boy Scouts, you didn't do your Eagle Scout project by yourself, right? So you turn around and had somebody help you do all those projects. So same thing happens. You don't win the football game by yourself. You had 10 other people out there helping you. So the same thing happens here. The best students are the ones that work together. There's a study room down the hall from me. They'll band together and help each other out. Public rooms in the dorms. I don't know of too many of those over there. I don't know what that means. So library, the study hall is really academic buildings. Transferring AP and dual enrollment classes. So a lot of that will help out. Your best bet is for your science and math classes. Psychology, my daughter's taking AP psychology now. All that stuff won't transfer over just because we redid this general education curriculum last year. And we've got the freshman seminar, freshman writing class, things like that. So your English 101 won't transfer over. And yes, I talk to parents every now and then that the student has to take X number of AP classes to be an AP honored graduate and stuff. And I get that, but the real deal on AP classes was not to get you through college in 3 years. If that's what you're doing, this isn't the place for it. AP classes were designed to make you a better college student, not a quicker one, but a better one, right? To give you the college level of some of these classes. So the laptops recommended, it's on our web page down at the bottom of the curriculum. So look, balancing engineering workload with responsibility a knob. Look, everybody's got to go through that knob year. So it's 20, 25 hours a week of military duties and stuff. But engineering is another, if you find somebody in another major who's doing well, they're probably spending time in that major. All right. So if your idea of, and look, college is, requires time on the weekend. All right. I'm not saying engineering does, I'm saying all college does. All right. So if you're of the mindset that, hey, I'm only going to work Monday through Friday and the weekends are mine, you should probably have a talk with your parents. All right. Yeah, because somebody, or ROTC or whoever's paying your college bill, but college is really a 60+ hour a week endeavor, and you get one shot to get through here, but what you get out of here will last a lifetime. So engineering, you know, our 1 credit hour engineering class as a freshman is not time intensive. You can do most of the work in class. So if there is a time management problem, it's with something else. It's not with engineering. All right. You got to take math just like everybody else does. You got to take the sciences just like everybody else does. You got to take that freshman seminar, do your reading, prepare for class. So it's not engineering that's hard. It's something else that's out there that's distracting you. So let me see. So where can you find a recording of this meeting? Let me see if I can get it. Somebody just said they may have to leave earlier here. And if so, I'll see if there's a way I can put it out there on our webpage. All right. So CSI is not happening this summer. That decision was made a couple of weeks ago. They're not doing CSI. I'm talking to the math department right now. They are offering a pre-calculus class and a college algebra class for those that need that type of extra work. So just like what you would take here, they are offering those math classes, but without that whole barracks living and that regimented lifestyle with the physical training. So as I understand it, when I've talked to a lot of students recently, who their roommates are, it's usually another mechanical engineer. So when we first started off, there weren't that many of them, but recently it seems like they've been paired up a whole lot with other mechanical engineers. If not, then you may have a civil person if you're kind of an odd number in your cadet company. But I have not seen recently too many people that get paired up with, say, a criminal justice major or a business major. That's a good question. So you see, there's a lady named Miss Sigalis who's been answering a lot of these questions over here. She's our academic success coordinator over here in engineering. So she's the admin for electrical and mechanical engineering. She's right down the hall from me right now. But if you've got, and she came from the Student Success Center, the Academic Support Center with all the tutors and things like that. So she is an invaluable resource. She has taken students who were, 1.6 GPA and now they got a 3.0. All right, so she will sit down with you and kind of work out a time schedule and some priorities. There she is. She just turned on her video. But and look, she's got 2 boys that are in their 20s and so she's in college, so she gets it. She knows what people are going through. So take advantage of her expertise. And Derek over here, Mr. He has said that we've got some other sessions here. So some of these other things that have popped up. There's a financial aid session on June 2nd. So we'll have people from across campus in on that session to talk about scholarships and things like that. And also there's another one, I think, on the 23rd or the 19th of June to talk about ROTC scholarships and how all that works. All right, so some of you will come here, not with the scholarship, but maybe thinking about the military service, and I highly recommend it. But when that happens, what do you have to do to get a 2-year scholarship or a 3-year ROTC scholarship? So those are great info sessions coming up. So Jack, who wants to take pre-calculus during CSI, like I said, they haven't announced this yet because the math department's identifying the instructor and the time slot and everything else, but pre-calculus will be offered later on this summer. So our summer 2 session starts in late June. So sorry, Doug, no freshmen have cars on campus. In fact, you can't have a car here, period, as a freshman, and they turn around and because parking is limited with all the construction going on, things happening here on campus. Sophomores couldn't even have their cars on campus last year. But they gave them a number of places that they could park them off campus, parking garages, surface lots, things like that. So there's some alternatives out there for them. And remember, when you're here, you got to get the study habits down before you can, engage in those freedoms out there. So, I mean, it's very important that you understand that going from high school to college, that there are some things that may not translate well. Some of the skills that you had in high school that have been ingrained in you since kindergarten. That's why that part of your life is over. And now you're going into college. It's a little bit faster pace. What might have taken you, a whole year to get through calculus, we do in 1 semester. Okay. So it's going to be a lot quicker. Yep. So, yep, June 23rd for the military one. Let's see. So no motorcycles allowed on campus, not even mopeds. So don't even think about bringing that motorcycle on campus. It'll be parked outside the gates. Every now and then I'll have a veteran student who rides a motorcycle, but they have to park it outside the gate. They'll lock it up and come walking over here, but no. It's and plus parking is outrageous here for what little use you'll get out of your car or your motorcycle, whatever. So even if I forgot what the fee is, but it's a monthly rate, and all around the barracks, it's going to be the upperclassmen. And for even sophomores, if they allow that back again, it's going to be down by the stadium about 3 blocks away. All right, so it's not going to be that easy. Yep, no motorcycles. Yeah, so you have what they call the sally ports, where the barracks are the main entrance to them. But as I walk by the side sally ports, there's bikes that are hanging up in there. I would not bring it immediately. I would try to find out what's going on, but it's not uncommon for me to be walking across campus, whatever, and seeing one of our students out there on a bike that's as part of their physical training or just out for a bike ride. But there's some great bike paths here in Charleston. I've known students who've taken their bike and gone over the Ravenel Bridge with it. So yes, bikes are allowed. I'm not sure if they're limited on space or anything. Yeah, so Ms. Segalis is sitting here saying, yep, there's a bus stop right outside the Citadel gates. On weekends, if I come on campus and during that time when cadets can leave, they're always sitting outside on that bus stop. A lot of them are walking downtown. And this place is full of people that are very friendly to cadets at the Citadel. You know, if I have to, if I find a cadet out there walking, I'll ask if they need a ride somewhere and I'll try to give them a ride. So as I was preparing this meeting for tomorrow for our advisory board, I already gave you the numbers on our students, how many of them went in the military. I also want you to know that the faculty member that the students, the whole entire student body turned around and said was the top teacher was actually a mechanical engineer. All right. So he was recognized at graduation. We've hired a couple more faculty members here over the past month or so. Other cool stuff that's happened in mechanical engineering, the Bulldog Business Bowl. So the business school over here puts on a contest every year. So it's kind of like Shark Tank. If you've been watching that, you come in with your idea and you develop that and keep talking about it. So it's several phases of it. First time it's a small elevator pitch. Next time it's a longer pitch. And then at the last one in April, they can build they can actually bring in prototypes and talk about it more. And those are longer sessions. So it's pretty cool that we won first and second place. So mechanical engineering won that. We had a team that developed a wall crawling robot. So they won a $10,000 prize for that. And another group was working on humanitarian assistance. So you think about third world countries with a bunch of bad water, they got to put the water through water filters. So how do you clean those filters to make them usable more than just that one time? So they turned around and had a inexpensive way to clean up those filters. They won second prize on that thing. So that was a $5,000 prize. So sponsored by the business school, they had business entries into that thing, but the engineering students turned around and smoked them. I mean, it was amazing. So they get their prizes, they get their trophies and all the recognition that comes with it. So when you show up here, that traveling trophy, the big one, will be over here. Let me see what else. We do have, we have a graduate that runs a company out in Arkansas. So if you go into the department news feeds and stuff like that, you'll see them on the private jet from the airplane. So he flew 4 of them out there, offered 3 of them jobs, 1 of them an internship and 2 of them full-time employment. But they make a bunch of conveyor belt systems for, you think about Amazon, the big warehouse where they're putting stuff on there to get ready to ship. Another big customer, you know, is FedEx, Wayfair, all those companies. The robotic hand, I kind of like that one. I've got them right here. One's in a box and one's sitting over here on a shelf. The students brought that back after graduation as they moved out of the barracks. But that got picked up by the AP Press, so a little local news story on that. Here, the AP Press picked it up all the way out in California. So there's news articles on our students on some of their projects. So what's the greatest project our students have made in your opinion? Hey, I'm trying the robotic hand, it's mine, all right? It's one of those things where I went to a graduation, I saw somebody doing the signing, and I said, you know, there's gotta be a better way. Graduation, all these little ceremonies, and these people are working, you know, 3 events a day. It's huge what they've got to do. So I turn around and want to develop that robotic hand. So it's going to develop now. So we got the forearm on that. It'll develop into a left arm so that we can start doing real signs on there rather than just spelling all the letters. The Baja has always been a very challenging project because it's a national competition. You have to stick with a whole lot of the codes and stuff on there, all the requirements of that. But once they get done with it, you saw the buggy that they had out there. It's very, very cool. So that's labor intensive, but I think the reward is well worth it. What other projects we've had? We've had T-shirt cannons. We've had, I would say that any project that we do that helps people are the greatest projects that we do. So that water filter one that we've had, we've got another one that we're thinking water resources. So pulling moisture out of the air. So we've developed basically stills for that, desalinization apparatuses to make all that stuff happen. So any project that we do in mechanical engineering that helps somebody else out or has that purpose is a great project. Those are the projects that make a difference. Okay, let's see. Does anybody want to see that robotic hand? It did voice recognition. Give me a thumbs up or nod. Okay, I see a couple of nods right there. All right, let me share the screen here. All right, let's get this thing started. So they're spelling American Sign Language.
Letter Sierra. Start Lima.
All right, so they just had to spell ASL for American Sign Language, but I didn't think they were going to get to voice recognition this year. So this group really impressed me. All right, I just wanted them to develop something that had more functionality in it. Before we've had 5 motors to make this thing work. They turn around and put 16 motors in it to give it the forearm and the turn and everything else. And you saw all the digits up there. Every knuckle had a joint in it. So this group went way beyond. And that student is going to go work at the Navy Information Warfare Center. That was his voice. He's one that did a lot of the coding for that. But that is a real resume builder. What he just did right there, when the Navy turns around and says, you can do all this type of coding. So he's going to go out there and help work on a whole bunch of, you know, national level type stuff. And we put a lot of students out here at the Navy Information Warfare Center. Those of you that are local here, there's one on the East Coast, there's one on the West Coast. But they do a lot of the communications and encryption and a bunch of other things. They also do a lot of drone stuff out there and a whole mixture of stuff. But one of our graduates came back last year and just said, mechanical engineers know enough electrical to be helpful out there. I can't say it's the other way around. And less than a year after graduation, his project is working on a new 40-foot antenna that's got some incredible capabilities on it. So he's working on a national level project right here, and I forgot how many millions of dollars it is, but he just graduated last year. So that's the type of impact our students are making out there. So Bill, you want to know about the pre-calculus? I just talked to the math department like last Thursday, so let me get a lead on that for you. But based off your math placement exam, your SAT scores, there's a couple of data points that we'll use in there. They're going to blast all the students and say these classes are available. So is there anything else you need to do to prepare for August? If you haven't taken the math placement exam, take it and do your best on it. All right, don't just go in there and just check a bunch of boxes, just say, yeah, I got to do it and I want to do something else now, because this puts you in the right math class. All right, so make sure you take that seriously. If you don't think you did well on it, you want to retake it, let us know about it. We'll get you, get the test reset. I would say stay engaged mentally on this type of stuff. Don't check out just because classes are over. You know, I was in a meeting today on the fall schedule. So just what I told you earlier about us starting, you know, on the 26th, the next big decision point might be midway through the summer around the 1st of July. And I think the president is planning on doing one of those little Facebook, send your questions in, go listen to them type thing. But that will happen about halfway through the summer. And that'll be another decision point if we have to change from our plan. Math placement exam, let me find out on that thing. Maybe Miss Segalis knows about it. Maybe she's got a quick link to that. But that's usually pushed out by the math department for all people that are coming in. I get an admissions report every week, so I've got it pulled up right here. And I know that's twice as big as what it's supposed to be. So they're probably waiting till all the high schools are done. That's usually been the big stumbling block about getting people to take this exam, is that I'm still in school right now. What other kind of good questions do you have? Yeah, a few good men. Yeah, if they tell you to read that before you get here, then I would say read it, because it'll be part of your leadership instruction. If you're one of my kids, they say, can we watch the movie instead? I don't know. That whole side of the campus, what they require you to do as far as the logistics of what you need to bring into the barracks and what you need to read before you get here. We don't focus on that here on the academic side, but I will tell you that that's come up before. So go and read it. It'll be something that they reference a whole lot during some of your leadership training. Who's planning on watching the movie instead? It's okay. I'm not gonna. Okay, there you go, Mike. Right. At least he's honest here. So, but yeah, sometimes in the movies it's a little different than the book. Okay. All right. I know that officially we have about 3 minutes left right here, but I'm going to stay on, you know, as long as somebody's on this line right here and, you know, wants to talk. I mean, you can unmute yourselves and talk. If it's quicker that way, that's fine too. But I don't have any more cool videos to show you or questions for you. So. Mike Tamburino, did you come here for a pre-knob visit? Have I met you? You look familiar.
I actually came for 2.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
All right.
we did. I think we did meet the second time I was there in I think
All
it
right.
was February. Yeah.
Okay. And Steve, did I meet you before? Steve Kraling? Okay. Yeah, I recognize some of these names. Alex, did I meet you? Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, some of you look a little different out of context here, but yeah, I can remember some of you. And Alex, I know you. I've looked at your academic file, wherever you are. He just popped off of there. All right. All of you are ready to come here, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's what I want to hear. Hey, it'll be great. I mean, you guys are, you know, came up online right here. I know, like my kids are still finishing up high school, so what you're doing right now, I mean, it just shows your initiative and that you're on the right track. So, still curious, still interested, want to do the right thing. So, I mean, you're exactly the students that we want. All right. Heath, where are you from? How do I know you?
I went down for a pre-nom in December, and I was originally scheduled to be a mathematics major,
Okay.
and then I switched over to mechanical.
Good decision there. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I think what really sold me is the hands-onness of
Yeah.
all of it.
Where are you from?
A little town called Lugoff.
Where's that?
About 20 minutes down I-20 from Columbia, East
Okay.
Columbia.
All right. You look like this football player that came here to visit, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago.
I'm an aspiring intramural athlete.
Okay, cool. And Chris Smith, I've seen you before.
Actually, my name is Nathan Smith. I think I sent some project details to you about like a month ago or something like that.
Was it the knife block?
Yes, it was.
That was you. Okay. All right. That's how I know you. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jack, how do I know you? No, I can't hear you. Your microphone's not connected there. Okay. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Nah, no